Today's topic is going to be about the Great Pyramid of Giza, specifically my experience of it and my interaction and observation and activation. So, it was a few years ago. I was privileged to visit Egypt and do a exploratory visit of certain parts of Egypt. And one of those parts was actually the pyramids in the Giza Plateau. So I managed to see all three, actually also the Sphinx and a few other sites around that area. But most importantly was the fact that we got to go in and be in the King's Chamber there. Went through the grand hallway and then up into the King's Chamber. I was there with a group at the time, and everyone had their own experience. And then it just opened up that I was there for quite a substantial amount of time by myself. No guide, none of the group was with me. And of course I was checking it out, and there's a way of, unfortunately not scientific, but doesn't need to be when you're holistically aligned. And that short answer is no, you don't. Everyone has their own way of doing things. For myself, what I did was I set up a grid inside the King's Chamber. I also, there's this crucible, or there's this box, elongated box there, rectangular, which is, some people think it's a sarcophagus or whatever, but I didn't feel that myself. Wasn't really there, had no energy. And that's when I noticed that it had another purpose. And at the time I had no idea what that purpose is. I could speculate now, but I still don't know. But it does leave room for interpretation because of what I managed to ascertain while I was there. The aspect was that I'd set up this process, which, at a later date I might elaborate, but of course giving that information away is counterproductive at this time. I would only ever do it, I believe, if the Pleiadians and the Arcturians would assist in its release. And that's a big ask, but that's where it is. So I set this up, the system, and then I went into the space where I was able to generate energy in there myself. So in other words, I was vibrating quite extensively. And at that point, I could see that what I had set up, there were like light switches, type little knobs, in certain aspects in certain places within the King's Chamber, and I was able to turn those on, and for a brief 30 seconds, I believe it could have been 30 to 45 seconds. Wouldn't have been much more, otherwise I might have got a wee bit too much for, not me, but for other things. So I activated this King's Chamber and saw what it was doing. And I was going like, whoa. And that's why I'm saying it's 30 to 45 seconds. At least that's what I experienced. And no one came into the chamber at all during that period of time. No one. So I actually was able to identify what I was actually doing. And given the fact that I was seeing it and experiencing it, I could see what the implications were for it. Now, there are theories about what the King's Chamber is. I'm not, not saying they're right or wrong. I'm just saying what my experience was. And to that extent, I realised that the energy that was circulating within the King's Chamber was actually going out. And all of my essence was able to feel that, and I could see where it was going. So from that aspect, I identified this is not what I've been told, and certainly not what everyone else has been told. And so I actually turned it off. I shut it down. And then I removed the key matrix that was set up in there so that it could not be turned back on. Inadvertently, of course. Someone who had ancient knowledge would know how to activate it. But that's the thing, there's two parts of this. Activating it is one thing, being able to use it is another. And my interpretation of that is that one who is versed in the aspect and knowledge of alchemy and sacred geometry and various other aspects, somewhat akin to the Melchizedeks. They would certainly know this. Any Melchizedek who's truly aligned would know. Drumvalo, for example, would absolutely know this. So putting this together is easy. Accessing it is not that easy. And I'd say Drumvalo, from my understanding, would be able to do it. I certainly did. How many others, I have no idea. But it is a very select few that could actually activate it. And the point, and I'm not putting myself above anyone else or Drumvalo above anyone else, that's not our game. It's more to, this is sacred knowledge. But the world is changing in such a great way here in 2024 that it just is primed for this information to come out. And of course, there are safeguards. So like if there are any essences of military or covert operations or anything sinister like that, they'd have no show of actually activating it. Not even their best scientists would be able to activate it. And there's a reason for it. And that, maybe if Drumvalo and I or another Melchizedek came together, we could explain that in unison, because it's not something that is very easy to replicate. It is just not. As much as Drumvalo and myself are providing services and education to those that wish to learn and participate at those levels, we both know, and I mean I've never met Drumvalo, and I can only speak to the energy of integrity and discernment here. We both know that this is not something that you tell everyone, but right now this is something to be shared with the globe so that what is coming is better understood in all of its entirety, because consciousness is growing there is an aspect that is really, really just flowing at the moment, which I don't know how to put it, but it's alive and kicking, and this is the right time to bring about this insight. It's like the Celestine um, insights. This could be the ninth or 10th insight. I have no idea, and of course, nothing to take away from that. I mean, that's a beautiful thing what they're talking about, and so true. But yeah, so the King's Chamber, in this essence, is a vibrational accelerator, and if it is activated, it, from my exposure to it and my understanding of it, should that be activated and left running, and I do mean left running, like your power grid, if left running, there would be a huge, substantial conscious change in the world. And for all of us who want peace and harmony, I can offer that that's where it would go. And of course I'm only learning about other aspects at the moment which are not of this light, not believing in that way. And I understand that there has to be a yin and a yang. But anyway, they would not be too encouraging to see this eventuate to the point where what I'm about to say next is very, very critical to the human species. Now, I know there are so many things that these governments don't tell us. I know there are so many agreements that they've come together with in terms of global alignment of things that can be done by all countries and things that can't be done. So, yeah. But here's one that has ramifications beyond, completely beyond what the human species right now is capable of dealing with. And that is that if that pyramid is attacked or bombed in any way, the human species has lost its umbilical cord to the universe and to the Creator. That's all. That's the best way I can explain it. It's not a negative. I'm just saying we want this to happen quickly now. What that King's Chamber can do for us, what it will do for us if allowed, I can only say that the world will change pretty quickly. In fact, I cannot say like, is it overnight? I can say what I experienced in that space was pure amplification of consciousness. And I'll just leave it there. There's far more, but pure amplification of consciousness in that one room. And if you've ever been there, you will know how big that room is. Well, imagine that room turning into the size of Mother Earth when it's amplified. I don't know any other way to explain it. In other words, that chamber encompasses all of Mother Earth when you've amplified it. But as a evolutionary status to all of humanity, I would say it's one of the best fixes of creation that we have. It's not a negative, not by any stretch of the imagination. So alchemically I can leave information as to how I put it together, how it can be activated, pretty much by anyone except the caveat to that, which is they have to have stepped into a special space energetically. I'm not going to qualify that, because I also saying that I want everyone to go there. I really want you all to get to that point, then you can go and do it. But I am very reluctant to give it a label, because labels don't necessarily help you. One would find that on their own account, not because of the label, So there it is in a nutshell, basically. Certainly there is room to play with that. It can be reactivated at any stage. You as an individual, if you're watching this, feel into it for yourself, do your own research. There are so many outlets out there that are able to provide information, but be discerning about that, because the scientific narrative is a narrative that it's sort of sinking, and well, it should too, because that narrative is holding on to a structure which they can control and own, and their tool sets don't allow them to laterally move. But like any tool set, you have to upgrade. No tool set is static. It's always movable and increases in evolution. So, and I have not seen that in the academic world. Very, very much not. There might be a few beloveds who are capable of bringing that through. Of course, I just mentioned Drumvalo. I have not seen anything from Drumvalo in many years, but gotta love him, And but there's a lot of young beloveds coming out, who have a wealth of study and insight and abilities to put the narratives in a context that's more legible for us to hear and to discern. So look for them, and I think one of the beloveds I'm thinking of is Billy Carson. Truly a very beautiful being from my limited experience and exposure to what I've witnessed from him. Never personally met him, don't know him, but nevertheless, a beautiful being who's definitely worthy of consideration above a lot of others, I've got to say. Because, and this might go on a wee bit longer than I thought, but bear with me. I just want to put this little nugget out there for you. When one can see something, one sees it for its purity and understands every aspect of it. You can see it, it. It's like there's this, and this, and oh, that's what that is. Yeah. But here's the thing about it. When you're in that space, there are no labels. Do you think that creation has labels? We as humans have labels, which we use for many purposes, one of which is the betterment of communication, so that one can understand. Like if I grab a spoon or if I grab a pen, I only know that that's a pen based on, my education. I mean, it could be a feather for all I know, so there's this. And so when you have somebody like Drumvalo and when you have somebody like Billy Carson, you've got beloveds who can solidify this aspect of the knowing and the expansion of creation and give it a label. And that's why I find Billy Carson very, very insightful, because not only because of his academic studies and his research, but because of the framework that he can identify from, say, the emerald tablets. So we have a difference here. I generally don't see things with labels. I just see pure potentiality and pure universe creation. And it's someone like, Drumballo or Billy who will provide a schema that everyone can follow, And there's this beautiful goddess I saw the other day, and she was amazing with that too. And excuse me, I've forgotten her name, but anyway, she was very insightful as to being able to elaborate that, and then that's something I think we need, and is very, very helpful. And I must own the fact that I'm not in that space. I'm in another space when it comes to those things. So the King's Chamber is about freeing us. It has, it's been told for a long time that will activate and free us. And, my job here is to, if anyone's inspired by this, or even if no one watches this video, there will be ripples that'll go out into creation and they'll affect somebody who will create something outside of this that will be more direct than what I can possibly do. So on that note, I will finish here and let you integrate this and research it for yourself and see what it is for you. And have a great day wherever you are in the world. And I'll look forward to doing the next video. Ciao.